I'll get the structure prepared.
Okay, all flight controllers, about 45 seconds to T1, stay, no stay.
Flight, that
Go,
14 plus 2 looks beautiful.
Getting ready to bend. Keep your eye on it.
Very smooth touchdown.
Okay, keep the chatter.
Eggs is good, Bob. It didn't drop the flash.
Roger.
Arrows are on, buddy.
Roger.
Things looks okay. Made a proper
Okay, T1, stay, no stay. Retro. Stay. Vital. Stay. Guidance. Stay. Control. Stay. Telcom. Stay. GNC. Stay. Ecom. Stay. Surgeon. Stay. Capcom, we're stay for T1.
Oxidizer. Bending oxidizer.
Roger.
Roger, Eagle, and you are stay for T1. Margin's looking good. We're coming up on our nominal here.
Okay, all flight controllers, go, no go for landing. Retro. Go. Vital. Go. Guidance. Go. Control.
And
Go. Telcom. Go. GNC. Go. Ecom. Surgeon. Go. Capcom, we're go for landing.
Eagle, Houston, you're a go for landing. Over. Back in 10 minutes. Margin is about 4.5. Roger, understand. Go for landing. 3,000 feet. Copy. Alarm. Alarm. 1201. 1201.
Roger, 1201.
TCP, you just lost there, Bill. Roger, I just see that.
Go.
Same type. We're go. T1D. Flight side on right.
Just leave it alone. It's okay.
Feet. Into the ag, 47 degrees. Roger. 47 degrees.
How's our margin looking, Bob?
It looks okay without
Okay.
4.5.
Good.
Roger.
Eagle looking great. You go.
Altitude update next. Looks good. Roger.
Roger, 1202. We copy it.
How you doing?
35
Control?
degrees.
We look good here. Fine.
Roger, how about you, Telcom? Go. Guidance, you happy? Go. Vital.
Go. 700 feet, 21 down. 33 degrees. 100 feet down at 19.
10 minutes. We just passed low gate.
540
For mission
feet down
risk
at
purposes.
30 and at 15. We're in attitude hold.
Attitude hold.
Okay, at hold.
I think we better be quiet.
They're 400
Roger.
feet down at 9.
Okay, the only call-outs from now on will be fuel.
10 and 50 feet down at 4.
P66.
6 and a half down. They're pegged on horizontal velocity. 300 feet down, 3.5. 47 forward. Put up. On 1.5 down. 70. Got the shadow out there. 50 down at 2.5. 19 forward.
11 minutes. Roger.
Tips RCS go.
Roger, your call-out shortly.
3.5 down. 20 feet.
Standing by for low level.
13 forward. 11 forward, coming down nicely. 200 feet. 4.5 down. 5.5 down. 160 feet. 6.5 down. 5.5 down. 9 forward.
Low level. Low level.
Low level.
Good. 20 feet. 100 feet. 3.5 down. 9 forward. 5%. 185. 75 feet. Guys looking good.
Stand
Down
by
a
for
half.
60.
Roger.
6 forward.
60.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. Lights on.
And I would have to go into that, trying to figure out what was going on. And it was the same thing. And so
Okay, I do believe we're live now. Yes. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Shaky start there. I had to change the stream at the last minute, and so now there's suddenly a ton of latency, so you're all about 30 seconds behind, and I'm sorry for that, Won't happen next time. I know what I'm doing this time. Welcome, everyone, to the first live stream on my channel. My name's Dead Kennedy in Space. You can also call me Kevin. And I'm going to make sure this is coming through here. Can everybody hear me, by the way? I'm not going to say anything else until people say they can hear me. So, to introduce our moderator for today, Dick Dawson, would you mind filling about 30 seconds for me? I was muted that whole time. I just did a whole intro, guys, and you all missed it.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Sorry about the super shaky start. I really don't know what I'm doing here, but I want to make sure people can hear me. Okay, I'm already seeing yes. So I wasn't muted? I don't understand. Anyway, welcome to the first live stream. My name's Dead Kennedy in Space. You can also call me Kevin. We're here to do our very first debate between myself and a flat earther, or a globe skeptic, whatever they may want to call themselves. So today we're joined by Victor Garcia, and also moderating today will be Dick Dawson. Say hi, Dick.
Hey guys.
Well, hello, everybody. Oh, sorry, Victor. Go ahead.
If I got confused, because a lot of people call me Vic, so when they say Dick, I automatically talk, so my apologies. Go ahead, Dick.
Okay, no problem. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Dick Dawson from World Model Feud and the Shills, and I will be the moderator tonight. We're going to have a very clean, good conversation, somewhat of a debate style, but a little bit open at the same time. We're going to give these guys really good time and freedom to do what they need to do. So, Victor, how are you today?
I'm doing good, bro. Thanks. I'm relaxing.
Excellent. Are you ready for a good conversation and a good time?
Very ready for that, bro, and thanks for the opportunity. Kevin,
excellent.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Sorry, Victor, please continue.
That's fine. Just wanted to give thanks.
Excellent. And Kevin, how are you feeling? You ready to have a good time and a good debate, some good conversation?
I'm feeling better now. I was starting to get really frustrated with the technical difficulties. I have no idea what I'm doing here, so bear with me, folks. But we'll do our best.
Excellent.
I'm excited to do the debate because here's the thing. There are differing opinions on how to deal with conspiracies like this, and I'd like to say, here's my position on this. Here's my philosophy on this. Discourse is the root of human civilization. It's how we figure out what ideas are good and what ideas are bad. We talk them out, sometimes for centuries, sometimes for millennia. Religion. So with that in mind, I want everything talked about, including flat Earth. So any chance I get to put someone on the spot who believes in this and say, why do you believe in this, and have that back and forth, that's really key to me.
And I have to agree 100%, Kevin, because discourse is the way we get to the root of things and discuss things as a society so we can come together to at least have a conclusion of sorts, is it not?
Exactly.
Excellent. So, I'm thinking on that note, we're probably getting ready to go, are we not?
Yeah. If I could, I just want to start with one quick question, and this is off topic, and then we'll get back to the issue at hand here. But I want to ask Victor, why did you think it was appropriate to compare me to a mass shooter in a comment?
Oh, you had a problem with that joke?
It wasn't a very good joke.
Well, that's on a personal opinion.
You're right. That is a matter of personal opinion.
You didn't like the joke? I apologize.
That's not really the answer to the question, though.
You asked me why I called you a mass, or why I compared you to a mass shooder?
I said, why did you think it was appropriate?
Because I have a weird sense of humor. The language being used in the comments was like very, very like high anger type of language. So I just found it appropriate since it was a thing on the news at the moment. And, as a joke, I said, this guy kind of looks like one, kind of sounds like one, angry type of guy, at least in that comment, not always. I've joked around with you before, or other jokes, but if you didn't like that joke, that's my apologies, bro.
Well, the reason I had an issue with it, and I appreciate the apology, I do, The reason I had an issue with it is you've been very polite and cordial and receptive to interaction in general, and then suddenly that came out, and it felt like suddenly I wasn't dealing with a person who seemed so rational. But
yeah, it might have been a slip.
But like I said, I appreciate the apology and I accept it. With that in mind, on to Globe Earth versus any other model. To be frank, you stated that you wanted to steelman each of our models, right?
Right.
That implies you have a model, though. That's where I take issue, because I've never seen a complete, in any way, working flat Earth model.
Exactly. So my point is, if you haven't seen it, what are you denying? What is it that you're rejecting if you haven't even seen it?
Well, I'm not really rejecting anything. I'm maintaining that it's a globe until I see evidence further.
Okay, got it. Well, what do you want me to do? You want me to steelman your argument, or you want me to present my model?
I'd love to hear your model.
Okay, so my model, as you see in the comments lately, I've been kind of active in your comments section. Mm-hmm. I proposed a model based on the experiments we see with the Primer fields. And the Primer fields is a series of videos where they show Bowl magnetism and the effects it has on all matter. And it focuses primarily on plasma. And it shows how not only is electromagnetism obviously a force that's everywhere you can see on Earth. You can feel electromagnetism. Light is electromagnetism. Everything's electromagnetic. So these experiments are tested with things that we all know, at least we all should try to learn more about, since it's everywhere. And the model that this specific experiment makes is a model where there are domes within the model, not within my theory. That's according to the experiment. The experiment shows domes. It's called the confinement dome within the experiment. It shows flip rings. It shows all sort of Bowl magnetic fields. So my argument is that since that's what it shows the power of magnetism to make things hover in the center. It shows the power of plasma to spiral right through the center. It shows how it can create, like I said before, the thing that everybody laughs at. They call it the firmament. People who believe in the Bible, that's what they call it. Science shows it as a confinement dome. So that's my argument. My argument is Earth is some kind of bowl-shaped matter with all the basic matter within it. Earth, water, liquids, solids, gases, all these things are within the Earth. Same things are in another bowl-shaped sky. So it's two bowls that make what some people would know as the Great Circle. That's my model, with a flat plane in the middle called the inertial plane in magnetism, and a spiral of plasma going right through the middle, as the experiments with Bowl magnetism shows, which creates in turn all these other things like the sun, like light within the Earth. When it comes to the stars, meteor showers, today's a meteor shower, all those other things, I'm not a pro on any of them. I am arguing what I can see from where I'm at and how I test it, how I can prove what I'm seeing up in the sky here. That's my model. I don't know if that makes sense, or if it was one of my famous word salads. So you guys give me your opinion.
Well, I'll be honest, there may have been a little bit of word salad in there, but I felt I got the gist of it. That's interesting, the idea about the two confinement domes. I have to say I like that, because it does, what do you say? It does explain the different hemispheres. So it has that going for it. However, I have a couple questions about it. Why aren't either of these domes detectable by radar? Let's start there.
Well, it's not that there are two domes. It's how can I say? It's one bowl, like a bowl of soup, right? That's the Earth. Liquid has, if you have a bowl of soup, you have carrots, potatoes, all these things. That's all the land, right? And then you have the famous leveled water within the bowl, right? So then on top you would have one bowl, one hemisphere, one sky at the top.
Okay, I misunderstood.
I don't know if that explains it better. So we would all be within, like, if you take the Earth, take the same example of the globe Earth, but instead of it being the whole ball, it's chopped in half. So you chop it right in half at the middle, you have all the Earth, the famous disk. You know, people think it's a flying disk, not like a bowl. That's what bowl magnetism shows. It's a flat top, concave Earth, water in it, land in it, other dome on top.
So about my question then, why isn't it detectable by radar?
I'm not sure how that relates to how would it be detectable by radar.
Because everything is detectable by radar.
Okay, so maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not a radar expert.
Any physical object is, anything that moves.
Right. I don't think the dome moves though. So.
Well, you can move relative to it then, and that would work. How about this then? In your model, is the speed of light a verifiable thing?
I don't think light has speed, bro.
You don't think light has speed?
I don't think so.
Can you explain that?
Well, it's the same thing if I ask you to explain light. How would you explain light?
How would I explain light? As a waveform, for the most part.
And the other part?
I can't recall the specifics right now, but I know what you're getting at. That kind of contradictory behavior of light, how it behaves like a wave and also behaves like something else, right?
Something like that.
I almost kind of need some help on this because I don't know how to explain that the speed of light has been verified.
I can't believe it. I'm proud of you.
I forgot that was on. Thanks. Thank you very much, Crash's RC Budget Builds and Reviews. I may have to turn that off.
Kevin, if I may, Mickelson Morley?
Yeah, I was going to say interferometers and spectroscopy, these are all things we use to verify the properties of light. I think in your model, you're going to have to throw both of those fields of study completely in the dumpster and then start over.
I don't think I would have to throw them completely in the dumpster. If you tell me how they're useful, I might be able to use them.
Well, they verify the speed of light, first of all.
Right, so what are they verifying?
That light moves through a medium at a particular speed.
And what is light? How do you measure light? You said light is a wave, and what else is this? So how would I measure a wave and a particle? Or how do you do it? I'm here to learn.
I don't do it personally.
Neither do I.
Right, but I've read the literature on it.
But you brought up light speed, so I'm asking you, what do you know about light speed? How do you measure light? What is light?
Yeah, I'm feeling this attempt to back me into a corner here, and I'm not caring for that.
You didn't bring it up, bro. I'm trying to answer your question.
Pardon me?
I'm trying to answer your question.
By asking a whole lot more questions.
Yeah, hold on. As a moderator, I got to jump in there. If you're trying to answer a question, you're answering with a question. So let's get to the answer and then ask a question. Sorry, continue.
So he asked, what's the speed of light? I said, I don't think light has a speed. That's my answer.
Okay. Well, in that case, without a proper explanation for that, I hear that as a kind of a way to discount, I don't know, millions and millions of different proofs that there is no dome over our heads.
Well, if you could help me explain what light is, I could start understanding how fast it's going.
Light is a waveform, for the most part.
Right. So
why can't we go with that, at least for now, until we run into a problem with that?
You're trying to have specific, like, scientific talk, so you're asking specific questions. I gave you a specific answer. I said, I don't know the speed of light. I don't think it has a speed. So if you think it has a speed and you know what light is and you know how to measure it, enlighten me, teach me right now, because I'm here to learn. I told you that.
Well,
okay, hold on.
Point,
Victor, which question are you asking? What is light, or how do we measure the speed of light? We need a little bit more precision here, please.
All right,
well, no, I understand what he's saying. He's saying he can't say that it has a speed because he doesn't necessarily know what it is, or we don't know what it is, rather.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, man. We live in the year 2019. We have the technology. We have high-speed cameras. We've used high-speed cameras to film light moving.
No one's arguing cameras. I don't deny the existence of cameras or light.
Okay, but what I'm saying is a very good camera can be used to verify the fact that light does indeed move.
Okay, let's see if this helps both of us, right? why do you want to know the speed of light? How does that come into play with what you're trying to, with the reason why you asked the first question in the first place?
If the speed of light is verifiable, it allows us to tell certain things about things around us, like, say, the distance to the moon.
How far is the moon?
If the speed of light is a verifiable constant, we know that it takes approximately 1.3 light seconds for light to travel to the moon. This indicates that it is because we fire lasers at it regularly.
And what are you measuring?
The time it takes for the light to go to and back from the moon.
How do you do that?
You're continuously asking more questions until you reach the point where I have to say I don't know because I haven't physically done the experiment. Is that going to be your whole strategy?
Nope. You brought up light speed. I'm just trying to figure out what you're trying to get out of that.
It's very simple. It's very simple. If you accept that the speed of light is a verifiable constant and we can measure it, then the moon is 238,000 miles away because we have fired light at it, and it takes 1.3 light seconds there, 1.3 light seconds back.
Okay, so what do you want to do with that information now? Argue about the moon, or still talk about light?
That discounts the dome. There's no dome if the moon is 238,000 miles away, or the dome is 238,000 miles high.
Well, in my model, the way you figured out that distance, I don't know it. I like I said before, it's not that I don't know it, is I don't think light has a speed. Therefore, everything you just said, that's in your model. Okay, that's great, bro.
Okay, well, yeah, I think we can sum it up like that. You don't accept that light speed is a thing, therefore it doesn't work. That's fine, because everyone can see that you have no explanation for why you can't verify light speed.
You're trying to make me verify something that you don't even know what it's made out of.
What do you mean what it's made out of?
Light.
Photons.
Okay. Star Trek, right.
Okay. Argument from incredulity. Great. That's excellent.
We can continue talking about the dome if you'd like.
Pardon?
We can continue talking about the first part that I was talking about, where you asked me my model. Do you think you have a solid steel man of my model now, or not yet?
For what it's worth, yeah, I would say you do.
So what is it?
Pardon?
What is it then? If you already have a steel man of my Earth model, what is it?
Why are you asking me to repeat what you said? What is the point of this?
To prove that you have a steel man.
That isn't necessary.
Otherwise,
I heard you say it.
Otherwise,
you said
what would you be arguing?
Pardon?
Otherwise, what would we be discussing if you haven't even understood what I'm trying to say? I could try to explain myself better. But
you realize
if you already know
I could turn this around on you and spend 20 minutes asking you questions about the globe model and eventually find one you don't know either.
That's perfect. We could do each. I could try to steel man your argument. If you want to go that route first, we could try to do that, or you could try to keep asking me questions about my model.
Well, let me ask this then. What's your biggest problem with the globe model?
I guess gravity.
Gravity, of course.
Well, all right. In the modern age.
What do you mean by
that?
Okay,
I think that's a point for response there, Kevin. His problem is gravity for the model. Would you like to show him why it's not?
Yeah, I don't see why it's a problem. There have been numerous experiments to prove gravity. I would like to know your issues with the Cavendish experiment. I would like to know your issues with LIGO. I would like to know your issues with... I don't know the names of these experiments, but there's an experiment in which you basically use a hypersensitive scale, place an object on top of it, keep track of its weight, and then hold another relatively massive object underneath it, and you can see the weight shift by a tiny amount because it's being pulled towards that mass. There's various other gravity torsion tests. What are your issues with those?
I've never done or heard of the experiments some of the names I can't remember, but the Cavendish experiment, all these other experiments you mentioned, how does that prove ball globe?
If we can prove that mass attracts mass, we can further extrapolate on that to theorize on the formation of a planet at the very least.
Well, you see, I share your thought right there. Mass does attract mass. I'm saying it's magnetism.
So magnetism causes objects to fall at a constant rate of 9.8 meters per second.
I guess it can. I've never done the experiment, but magnetism attract mass, that's magnetism.
So it's basically a semantic argument at this point. Your gravity is magnetism.
I could show you magnetism attracting other things. Can you show me something gravity attracting other things?
Yes. There's a lighter in
Like
my
what?
hand right now.
Oh, nice. I've seen that one on YouTube before.
But see, that's my issue with it. You don't really have any proper experiments here to prove that mass attracts mass in the way that gravity says it does.
You're saying I don't have any.
Of course, you say you can perform experiments that prove electromagnetism exists. That
You
doesn't.
get two magnets and you put them close to each other, and they attract. Mass attracts mass. They're attracting with magnetism.
And do they attract with the exact same properties as gravity? If so, you need to prove that.
I guess gravity would be like a much if gravity is a thing, since magnetism is a thing, and we could all see magnetism, gravity would be some kind of weak magnetism. How it's measured, why it's measured, I don't know. I'm not interested in a weak force if there is magnetism already established.
But it's not established in the way that you say it is. It's established that electromagnetism exists, and electromagnetic objects will attract to one another, but you haven't verified the fall of objects at 9.8 meters per second squared.
I'm not trying to verify the fall of objects. I'm trying to verify what shapes magnetism creates, so I can see what kind of shape of Earth I'm on.
Does electromagnetism create the tides?
The tides. You know what? I don't know. That's a good question.
You've got a lot of argument from ignorance and a lot of argument from incredulity here.
Okay, I'll give you a point there. There's a lot of things I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for owning up to that. So I think we've covered the things on gravity quite well. What other issues do you have with the globe model?
Well, you still haven't covered gravity because you see my arguments on your channel.
Yeah.
If I show you proof of gravity, and then I show you proof of magnetism, and one, it's visual, literally presents exactly what I'm saying. The subject that we're talking about which is the Earth. Anything else? I don't know. I haven't looked into other things. I'm talking about the Earth, the shape of the Earth. Is it a ball? Is it flat? Is it what is it? I'm saying give me an example with gravity that shows the model as you explain it to me. I'm showing you an exact example on a small scale of what I'm saying it is visually. It's a visual proof.
Sorry, I'm not sure I'm understanding. The experiments with electromagnets are the visual proofs. Am I understanding that?
The Bowl magnetic primer field videos are visual proof of a Earth created as I have been shown it's created visually in experiments.
I'll be honest, I haven't looked into those experiments or videos with any intensity.
That would be a good place to start if you wanna steel man my argument. That would be a great place to start.
Okay. Well, I'll admit my ignorance on the topic, but I'm going to maintain that I don't believe in any way that they prove that electromagnetism has the same properties as gravity.
Why do you not believe it if you haven't seen it?
Well, for the fact that you can't recite one, for instance, you can't. You keep just saying go to the experiments, but I want to know how electromagnetism makes dead birds drop out of the sky.
I'm not interested in how it makes birds drop out of the sky. I'm interested in how it makes the Earth. I'll look into that after I figure out the Earth, but right now I'm trying to figure out the Earth. That's what I'm here to talk about.
I see. So I can't steel man your argument because it's incomplete.
It's not incomplete.
It's extremely incomplete. You've said I don't know a number of times.
If you know the basics, if you know the basic experiments within Bowl magnetism, magnetism exists depending on the shape of the magnet. You get different fields. You get different magnetic fields. Well, it just so happens that Bowl magnetic fields explain a shit ton of things within the Earth, not with theories, not with equations, not with numbers, with visual proof. How does that not tell you to look into it? If you do you understand my point? Do you at least understand where I'm coming from, or you don't understand it at all?
I understand it to the point where you say, well, this is interesting, we should look into it further, and I agree you should, because I think eventually you're going to realize it isn't going to work. Shouldn't, if it's all caused by electromagnetism, shouldn't objects fall in a Faraday cage?
I don't know what a Faraday cage is.
It's an enclosure used to block electromagnetic fields.
Okay.
It would actually be a very useful thing for this whole theory, actually. It's actually kind of shocking that you don't know what that is, considering your theory revolves around electromagnetism, and we have a device to block it.
Right. That's good. I'll look into it. I'll definitely check it out.
Okay. All right. Do you have an issue then with, say, visible curvature?
Yes.
And what is that?
Where can you see the curvature?
Over large bodies of water all the time.
Like how high?
What do you mean, how high?
Like how high do you have to go to see the curve? Or what curve are you speaking of?
So you're talking about seeing a physical curve instead of seeing, for instance, objects blocked by the curve.
Well, define what you mean by curve. When you say if I have an objection against the curve, I'm assuming you mean the curve of the Earth's curvature.
Right.
Right. I'm saying I've never seen it. Personally.
You're saying you don't understand?
I'm saying I've never seen the curve personally.
Never seen. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. None of us have physically seen the curve because none of us can get high enough. That's perfectly consistent with the globe model. You shouldn't see a curve until you get way the hell up there. What I'm saying is we can do things like skyline blink tests that show...
Way the hell up where?
Pardon?
Way the hell up where?
One more time.
Way the hell up where?
Where?
Yeah, you said you can see it if you get way the hell up there. I'm saying way the hell up where?
Depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about visible curvature or measurable curvature, because there'll be lots of times when you don't necessarily see the curve, but if you were to further examine it, you will see a curve if you measure it.
This is some of the things that I pick on a lot of your followers or the people who hang out in your chat. I don't want to say followers, you know, people who comment on your chats. If I gave you guys an answer like the one you're giving me, oh, you can't see what I'm saying because you know it's you have to go really far. I don't know how far, but you have to do this and you have to do that. You can't see it though, but trust me, it's there. That's why I have an issue with it.
Well, that's not necessarily my argument. I keep saying you don't need to physically see the curve to see the curve.
How would you prove it? If you can't physically see it, how would you prove it?
With things like skyline blink tests. For instance,
what would that be?
Are you watching the stream right now?
No.
What would be the best way to do this, Dick?
How far away? What distances are we talking about? Either up or across, or like give me some kind of example of where I can see this curve.
39 miles from Olcott, New York to Toronto.
One example, okay. From New York to Toronto, what are you saying? What are you saying I'm supposed to or not supposed to see?
You should be able to see the entire CN Tower, and approximately 603 feet of it is missing.
Always.
Pardon?
Like it doesn't matter what kind of optics you use, you're never going to be able to see it?
You're never going to be able to see the whole thing, no.
Okay.
If...
I've heard of experiments like this. I've never performed one myself, honestly. I've just heard of people saying ships disappear, right? The old argument, you zoom in, it comes back. Okay. I've heard of other type of skylines across large lakes where you stare across and you can see the city, even though I've seen the memes. They call it a mirage. I don't know. I've never done the experiment. You're saying you're saying there's a part of a city missing because of the curve.
Yes.
What's the distance? You said 36 miles?
39 miles.
39 miles. Okay, well, I'll do my experiments, and if I can't see past 39 miles over, say, the ocean, I live really close to Long Beach, where Dick played a lot of times. I'll go check it out. I'll try it, and if there's something that I was wrong, I'll literally tell you. I'll call you. I'll message you. Whatever. Yo, I can't see past 39 miles. My apologies. I still haven't done them. I'll try to do them.
Okay, so it sort of sounds like you're trying to shut down the conversation topic by saying, well, I haven't done it myself. If I do it, then maybe we'll have something.
Well, I've seen a lot of proofs of high altitude weather balloons, of from planes, all these things where people are high up and there is no visual curvature on the horizon. Therefore, that led me to believe, doesn't matter. I'm on level ground, or I'm at water level, sea level. They're way up there, and they can't see no curvature anywhere. It doesn't matter how far up they've gone. I think it's like, I don't know, 100 something thousand meters. I don't know. I can't remember, but it's really high up, higher than an airplane. There is no observable curvature. Therefore, if I can't see it, how am I supposed to believe it?
Well, you can't see it
Or
because you refuse.
What do you have against those pictures?
Pardon?
What do you have against those pictures, the high altitude weather balloons? What's your why can't you see a curve there? Do you have an answer?
Yeah, they're probably not necessarily high enough.
How high would you have to be?
Again, it depends on a lot of things.
With the weather balloon.
Pardon?
With the weather balloon, you go high up in the weather balloon. At what altitude are you supposed to see a curvature? I'll either buy a fucking weather balloon, or I'll try to find a video of somebody going up at a certain altitude, see if I could see a curvature. If I could see a curvature again, I'll tell you my apologies. So far, I've seen a few videos.
Here's part of the issue with that. I don't think you've looked very hard, because I didn't have to look very hard to find amateur rockets launched into the air that show curvature, as well as weather balloons.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the amateur rockets, a lot of Go Fast rockets. I love the Go Fast rocket was, it was a cool rocket. I think it's the highest amateur rocket. It does show a curve. It shows a flat plane, and it shows concave Earth. So you could tell there's some kind of fuckery with the lens, unless I'm mistaken. But if you want, we can analyze the video, and you can see where it goes from flat to curve to concave. Convex, concave, all on the same horizon. So,
if I remember correctly,
that on its own, yeah.
If I remember correctly, that was a GoPro, and yeah, you're right. They're not great in terms of quality. There's a lot of fisheye effects going on in the lens. First of all, you can reverse those fisheye effects. That's irrelevant though, because I'm not necessarily talking about the Go Fast rockets. There are plenty of.
Hold on, Victor. Please let him finish his retort. Okay.
There are plenty of other videos that use a camera that does not have a fisheye effect, and we can see the curvature in those. And basically what it seems like to me is you looked through a couple videos, found a couple excuses, and decided there were no more. But that's not the truth. There are piles and piles and piles of evidence for this.
I don't want to sound like a can I talk now, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to sound like a some kind of psycho or anything, but I've seen if I say a few, I'm trying to be modest, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of videos trying to see a curve at a high altitude, and when you can't see it, you can clearly tell it's a fish lens. So to just avoid the whole correcting the fish lens, just use a camera with no fish lens. And like I said, I've personally seen high altitude weather balloons that go hundreds of meters high, no curvature. So I'm asking you, how high does it have to go so that I can see a curvature? If you have a video with no fisheye, just a clear, regular lens where it shows the curve over the Earth, please send it to me. I've been looking for one. I haven't found one. Please send it to me.
Will do. If everybody in the chat wants to find and spam some links to that, go for it, because I know for a fact that there are hundreds. I've seen a handful myself.
Right. Just make sure it's no fish lens with regular lens.
Absolutely, yeah. We want the closest to reality lenses that exist, and there are plenty of those. So, moving on from that. Oh, I'm sorry, Bombard. I understand. Have a good night, though. Thank you for tuning in to begin with. I guess that moves us on from visible curvature. Let's see. Do you have an issue with? We could always move on to the fun topic of NASA. What's your issue with all of the daily evidences provided by NASA?
NASA's a long one. I mean, we can get into it, but just before we get past the curvature, just so I know, okay. Your test is 39-mile distance. I should not be able to see past 39 miles distance. At least some part of what I'm trying to see should be gone, right?
Well, that's not necessarily correct. You can't see this specific object over this specific 39 miles. because
Okay.
you realize there are elevation changes throughout the Earth. Even if the Earth were flat, it's not flat.
Right. There's mountain ranges. There's all these kinds of things. Yeah, plains, all these things. Yeah.
So that's the claim. It's that specific stretch of 39 miles, not any 39 miles. Because that's another thing that that flat earthers like to do is use the 8 inches per mile squared formula, which doesn't account for a lot of things, most specifically elevation changes.
Right, I've heard about it.
Okay, so NASA, go ahead.
Where do you want me to start on NASA? Just on what they present, on what they the proofs they give, the pictures they give, how they got the pictures. What do I think of how it got started, or what exactly do you want me to touch on?
What's your biggest issue with them?
How it got started.
How it got started. How did it get started, as far as you know?
As far as I know, it's a government. It's government funded scientific. What would you say? Branch? I don't know.
Sure.
If you know the term, please correct me anytime you can.
Yeah, no, that's good enough.
Thanks. So NASA gets started. I believe it was 1950 something.
8.
You guys know the 58,
Mm-hmm.
Right? So everybody knows the conspiracy theories, which I don't know why it's called a conspiracy theory if it's just history. Who was the head of NASA? Werner von Braun. Who was Werner von Braun? A Nazi. Did he have an agenda? He did when he was a Nazi. He clearly had an agenda. So my point is, he probably had an agenda when he joined NASA, unless he had some kind of rebirth. I don't know.
What was his agenda with the Nazis?
Well, he wasn't he master of rocket engineering and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't think Nazis had an agenda, that's your opinion.
No,
but
I'm not saying Nazis had an agenda. I'm saying, were Werner von Braun's was Werner von Braun's agenda necessarily aligned directly with the Nazis?
Well, wasn't he Hitler's scientist?
Pardon?
Wasn't he one of Hitler's top men, or am I incorrect in that?
He wasn't. He was a scientist in Nazi Germany. Yes. Here's the thing. First of all, if you weren't a Nazi in Nazi Germany, you didn't last long.
Right.
So there were millions of people who were kind of forced to be Nazis, whether or not they aligned themselves with Nazi values, like Werner von Braun. He's actually pretty well known for the fact that he used the Nazis as much as they used him in order to further his scientific experiments, which is why he bolted at the chance of coming to the States. Second, he was never the head of NASA or a founder of NASA or anything. He was appointed director of the Marshall Space Flight Center, and that's all.
Right. And wasn't he also the director over the moon landings?
No.
Who was the director over the moon landings?
Which mission? I don't know that they all had the same flight director.
Was he director in any of them?
I don't believe so.
Oh, then I was mistaken about that.
I mean,
yeah. So that would be one of my issues.
I'd have to look this up, or rather, if Casual Spaceman is in the chat, I don't know if he is. I think I saw his name earlier. Casual Spaceman, if you're in the chat, who were the flight directors for the Apollo missions? If anybody knows, it would be him. Because I don't know offhand. Dick, you don't happen to have any insight on that, do you?
Offhand, I can't quite remember. Pete Berube's in the chat as well, and I'm pretty sure we're about to start getting some stuff in the talking in the chat here. There's only a couple seconds delay to the stream here, and I'll pull it up on the web as well. So I'll bow out for a second. I'll be right back. Sorry, dude.
Okay.
Right. So then one of my problems with NASA, to me, it's a huge one, is the fact that one of their head scientists, one of their most popular faces of NASA, was in fact a Nazi. To me, that's somewhat of an issue.
Well, here's the thing, though. Your definition of a Nazi is a person who lived in Nazi Germany.
Right. And not only that, so it was somebody who was associated within the military or take directions from the Nazi military. I don't think he was just a citizen, was he?
We have an update about Apollo. Von Braun was the director. He headed up the development of the Saturn V.
Got it.
So that's probably what you were getting at.
Probably.
Right. And we do know now that Eugene Francis Kranz was the flight director.
Okay. unrelated, Pete was always looking up other names, John W. Aaron as well. So they had different flight directors.
Nice.
But again, his working for Nazi Germany is kind of irrelevant. I mean, I understand that it's touchy, that it kind of makes people leery about a person who might have worked for Nazis. That makes perfect sense. It's the reason people are leery of George Soros.
Right, and then after that, right? So that's one problem. It's okay. Was he a Nazi? Was he not a Nazi? I don't know. He worked for the Nazis, so I'm assuming he was a Nazi. You said he bolted. When did he bolt out of Nazi Germany?
Well,
you said he left.
Bolted. Victor, by bolted, do you mean when he left Nazi Germany? Is that what you're getting at?
When did he stop taking directions from Nazis? When did he? If you're saying maybe he was just using the Nazis as much as they were using him, and then he said he departed ways with Nazi. When was that?
I'm honestly not sure when he stopped working for the Nazi Party. I don't know if it was before or after the war. But again, my point is, while the war was on, if you weren't a Nazi, you were killed.
Right. So, if I'm mistaken, I believe he didn't leave the Nazis until he was taken from America, from the Nazis, once the Nazis were defeated. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Taken.
I can clarify that a bit if you would both like.
Go ahead.
Operation Paperclip, when the Americans came over to grab the German scientist, was prearranged before the Americans even got there. They already knew it was time to get out. They made the arrangements. So he gave up his ties to the morons before the war even finished. And it's well known as well that he never wanted to be a Nazi. He just wanted to actually survive and make his rockets.
Yeah.
Hey,
sorry, I'll get out of the way.
Thanks. Oh, well, I mean, thanks for the info, Dick. I'm not saying thanks for getting out of the way. Just thanks for the info.
Oh, yeah. No, I understood, Victor. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
That's one issue is Werner von Braun. Another issue would be, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to sound like a psycho, but I get into a lot of different fields within, news and ideas and all these things floating around. So from what I've heard, they are heavily involved with certain group parties, secret societies, all those things. To me, that's not. I don't jive with those.
Like Freemasons? Oh, you dropped out. Did we lose him?
Let me just check the meet here, Kevin.
No, he's still in the meet.
No, he's still in the meet.
Victor, you dropped out. We can't hear you. Maybe a connection issue. Maybe you might have tapped mute by mistake. But while he's going there, if he's talking Freemasons, I would like to know how many Freemasons or how many astronauts are Freemasons, or how many of the 536 people who have been to space Freemasons? Because I do know the answer to that. Incidentally, my grandfather was a Mason. I'm not myself. Although I guess if I was 33rd degree, I wouldn't have to actually tell you that. But the Masons aren't nearly as powerful as people make them out to be. These are people who can't decide between sausage rolls or burgers for lunch. Oh, he dropped out. All right, well, we'll give him a moment to see if he comes back in. Oh, there he is.
No, I just heard a beat.
Yo.
Victor, you're back. Good job. Good job.
Good. Yeah,
damn internet. In this day and age, we can't get anything right, eh?
Where did I get cut off? Unless you guys want to change subjects. You guys want to change subjects, or you want to keep talking about NASA?
Well, I liked where that was going when you said NASA's associated with a lot of shady societies and things. Were you talking about Freemasons?
That would be one, yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many astronauts have been Freemasons?
I know it's a small number.
Right. It's kind of like saying,
I think like 11 out of like 500. Some small number, right?
9 or 10. I thought it was 10. Somebody in the chat said 9. Now you just said 11, so I'm going to say between 9 and 11.
Let's say 10.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So were they top level? As far as I remember, if people have the idea that astronauts are Freemasons, it's probably because it's top level astronauts. The popular ones. If you guys know which ones were the Freemasons and point them out, that'd be nice. I honestly can't remember them. Something I heard. Okay. They show the same emblems. They're clearly part of the at least one secret society. So to me, that's another point. One is Nazis, or at least Werner von Braun. The other one would be, secret societies. Another would be the infamous CGI images. Going back in history again, Jack Parsons, his dealings with the people he was involved, how he funded, JPL. So there's a lot of fishy people involved with the people that are giving you the information, let alone the American government. Not that I have anything against America, but the government, the way it's run, I don't drive with it. So since it has all these negative things within it, I don't see how anything good could come out of it. And I believed it, honestly. I believed all of it up until this year when I found the primer fields. So that changed my whole worldview. It changed. I feel for the better.
Here's my issue when it comes to the Freemasons thing, because of how few astronauts have been Freemasons, 10 out of 536. We could also make the argument that, let's see, a lot of their astronauts are white. Hey, so some of their astronauts are Indian.
That's nice.
It just seemed them being a small amount of them being Freemasons is irrelevant to the larger picture.
I said, I understand it's a small amount. I think what I'm pointing out is that if I'm not mistaken, it was key level history making astronauts. If I'm mistaken, please point it out.
Sorry, if you're mistaken on what?
On who the people who I'm saying were Freemasons, were they key figures in history, or were they just random people?
There were some key
Random
figures
astronauts.
in history,
like
Buzz Aldrin.
So that's a huge key figure in history. That's why I guess a lot of people would have an issue with it, because it's not just some astronaut working in the space station or here on Earth. It was Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, I understand the issue there.
So why I feel shady towards NASA.
Not really.
You understand? Okay. So why do you trust them?
Why do I trust them? Because I examine the evidence and I don't see any issues with it.
I do. Not just the evidence that is shown, like I've said over and over in the comments, with equations. Equations are great, but I feel like, it's not that I feel like, math is a language. You can do a lot of things with that language. That's why we have physical laws, so we can test what we say. And again, I go back to the same argument, to the basics. If you can't prove what you say physically, how am I supposed to believe you with something you write? If that doesn't make sense, I apologize.
I mean, it kind of doesn't, because it's a lot of vague points. It's some of the equations don't make sense to me. I can't tell you which ones or why, but some of them do.
Okay.
So it doesn't seem like you've got much of anything there. You say you have issues with experiments, but you can't actually cite any of those issues. You can't quantify any of that.
If I tell you that a cow is sick and I'm not drinking its milk, it's not because I have a problem with the milk. I have a problem with the cow. So I don't have a problem with it.
So inspirational.
Like I said before, I used to believe all the things NASA would give out and present blindly. I went in, I heard these new theories going on out there. I checked them out, and where I first started was, where do the ideas that NASA bases itself come from? Once I studied that, I found out that it has no solid base. I mean, it has some solid base, because like many of your chat, people have said, yeah, technology is awesome. Phones are awesome. That's all great. I'm not arguing any of that. Science has a lot of different branches. I'm saying when it comes to measuring, when the topic that I'm here to talk about, the Earth, there's basic things you can start with before you jump to all these other things that are possible within technology. If that doesn't make sense, I apologize. That's my basic argument.
Okay. So it sounds to me like it sort of boils down to argument from ignorance and incredulity, because you haven't...
It boils down to an argument from the start. My apologies.
Because you haven't shown in any way how these discount the current model.
Because there's a better math to explaining what we see from Earth.
You haven't quantified that either. You haven't shown how it's better. You haven't shown how electromagnetism has been proven to have the exact same properties as gravity all the time.
I'm not interested in proving gravity. I'm interested in proving the Earth and how it looks and how it's shaped and how the sky works. And Bowl magnetism explains all that perfectly.
But that's the issue.
Visually,
science doesn't prove things. Science disproves things. So in order
Okay,
in order to go with a better theory, you need to discount the current one.
Basically, if you're saying science doesn't prove things, it disproves things. Well, then we've had gravity since Newton. That's what, I don't know, 300 years ago, give or take, 17 something. Now we have Bowl magnetism. Science is still science, is disproving the old science, which even, you know, who came after for the whole universe as we know it now? Einstein. Would you say Einstein disproved Newton? Yes, in some ways, not entirely. In some ways, but now am I saying Bowl magnetism it doesn't destroy it explains things we didn't know, like what I've been commenting on your channels before: dark matter, black holes, dark energy, all these unknowns that are there for what reason? Because they have to be there, because the equations wouldn't work if those numbers aren't there. Bowl magnetism doesn't need black holes. It shows that this black hole that we know, it's within magnetism, bro. If you look at a ferro, as one of your commenters perfectly explained, I was saying ferrule cell. It's not ferrule cell, it's ferro cell, right? So because of the ferric fluid. So if you take two glasses, you put ferric fluid in between them, you squish them together, you put lights around it, you put a magnet underneath it, you see the black hole that we just saw, 2 months ago? It's the same shape. It's infamous. Some of your chat followers were making fun of me for calling it spiral magnetism, because it shows a spirograph within the force of gravity. And my point was, well, you see the old followings of the planets in the sky, they chart them, they see how they move. Guess what? They fit perfectly within the spirograph in a magnet. So everything, you say everything points to spheres. I'm saying everything points to magnets, and more specifically, bowl-shaped magnets, which the only thing they do is that they prove further what we didn't understand, thanks to bowl magnetism. Now, if you haven't seen them, I highly encourage you to go see them, and then come back and tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've kind of arrived at a standstill there, because I don't think you have sufficient information. You keep saying it proves all these things. It may point to a couple things, but until it does all of it and simultaneously disproves gravity, you don't have much.
What does it point to? What does it point to?
What does it point to? That magnetism is a thing?
Right. It has a shape. The force of magnetism has a shape. Would you agree with that or no?
The force of magnetism has a shape.
Yeah. You know what a toroidal field is?
Forces don't have shapes, they have directions.
Well, you know what a toroidal field is within magnetism?
No, I don't actually.
Okay, well, a simple Google search will show you. If you look at the forces of magnetism again, you guys were talking about music earlier. Metallica uses in their Death Magnetic album. You see a grave, supposed to be the magnet, and you see the force, the magnetic field around it, right? Do you know what I'm talking about, or you still don't know what I'm talking about?
I'm following, yeah.
Yeah, magnetic fields, perfect. You check out the magnetic field; it has a shape. If you put the magnet directly under a ferrule cell with ferrule fluid, you see a spirograph. You see what you see in the skies. You see it within magnetism.
Victor, sorry. I'm going to have to jump in. We need a little citation here for a little backup proof. We're hearing a lot of what you think, and you've mentioned a video, but can you back it up with any like any experimental data? Can you enlighten us here? Because quite a few people in the chat are really, really concerned that there's not enough backing this.
Primer fields, plasma, study plasma. What happens with plasma arcing? The primer fields is magnetism with plasma. So plasma is a key component.
I think what he meant is sources, like who's doing these experiments, where are we doing them, can we look them up, can we read the papers?
You could look them up, you could recreate them. All you need is a vacuum chamber, bowl magnetism, and plasma.
Okay, can you give us a citation with which to look them up?
Look at primer fields.
How do you spell that?
Primer, like Primer.
Okay. Huh. So it seems like the answer to that question is no. What I'm saying is, like, name the YouTube channel you first saw this on. Name the website you first saw this on.
It's called Primer Fields. It's a series of videos on magnetism, bowl-shaped magnetism.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look it up. But I still don't feel like my question was answered. I'm not sure where to go from here. Dick, do you know how long we've been going roughly?
I have us down. I did have to do a restart on the clock, so let me just look here. I've got us at 46, and there was a restart at about 10 minutes in. I can say here, primer fields is a theory in that it has not been peer-reviewed.
Right. It came out, I believe, 2006. So for a theory, it's fairly new, but the visuals, it's a theory. Yes, the paperwork is being done. As far as I know, he's still working on further videos, further experiments. But the experiments he already made, they're available for everyone to see. So anyone who wants to see them, judge them, tell me where I'm wrong, tell me how I'm wrong, please do it.
Okay.
Kevin, will you accept that as a citation, even though it's not peer-reviewed and it's only one person's theory at this point?
I mean, I'll accept it as a citation in this. If we're defining citation as here's where I got my information, is it a good citation? No.
It's a series of experiments. So it's experiments upon experiments upon experiments upon experiments.
Without peer review, though, that's part of the problem. Is a huge part of the scientific method is having the entire community take a look at it.
I'm asking you to review it and see what you think. I looked it over. I found no flaws with it. So if you could look it over and tell me what you find in it, or what flaws you find in it, or what you learned from it, or what you didn't learn from it, perfect.
Have you looked up any criticisms of it?
I've looked up other people's opinions, and there's another magnetic, genius, and he doesn't have any issues with it. He just says, it's awesome, and he himself is doing all these other experiments with magnetism. So my only suggestion would be, if, one of your chat members was asking me for proof. I told him I can't spoon feed you guys everything. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, easy now. A citation would have to be a paper that is peer-reviewed, Victor, and this is not peer-reviewed. So, in the true sense of citation, this is empty.
And I don't.
Kevin has said he would.
I don't understand
I'm sorry,
how
Kevin, go ahead.
I don't understand how it doesn't have any peer review if it's been out since 2006.
Yeah, that's a very big problem here, isn't it not? So I think...
Has it? I imagine it's never been submitted for peer review is the biggest issue.
Yeah, I only could find it on SETI at home, which is not very promising.
No.
And but Kevin said he was willing to accept it as a citation in the fact that a very, very loose interpretation of the term.
Right.
So, Victor, you've kind of beaten it like a dead horse. One thing that did come up was the shape of magnetic fields and stuff. And I'm sure Kevin would probably like to expand on that. Would you like to take a turn on that, Kevin?
I mean, yeah, the globe model has a really great explanation for the shape of magnetic fields, like, say, the shape of the Earth's electromagnetic field. That's, also something that's measurable. That's something we interact with constantly. We can bounce signals off the ionosphere, for God's sake. You're going to need explanations for all of that.
Yeah, you can bounce spheres off a dome, too.
Pardon?
I said you could bounce signals off a dome, too.
Right. But it should have different properties. It should indicate that it's a physical object.
It is a physical object.
But it doesn't indicate that it is.
You could study the matter, and you'll see how matter creates this physical dome.
How matter creates the physical dome.
Yeah, matter with, again, magnetism. Two basic essential things that everybody has. Everybody can test them.
I'm still missing the issue that there is no examples of that. No matter has ever been detected at a height that a dome would be at.
Victor, you're bringing a lot of opinion. We need more citation. We need more proof behind it, please.
It seems like a lot of argument from incredulity and a lot of argument from ignorance.
It's not incredulity, it's not ignorance. It's based on a series of experiments. If you guys wish to debunk those experiments, be my guest.
Okay, yeah. I think that sums up the argument well. Victor's theory is entirely based on arguments that he hasn't looked up enough to see that they've already been debunked.
Okay. How were they debunked?
Oh, I haven't done the reading yet. I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll do some videos on it. I'm definitely
nice.
I'm definitely going to look into this primer fields thing.
At least
Okay,
I got
so
you more entertainment.
Okay, hold on, Kevin. I'm handing this. Victor, you were the one posing the questions there for a bit. And so I say it's Kevin's turn here. What would you like to attack on the flat Earth side, Kevin? Go for it.
Ooh. Why don't rockets crash into the dome?
I don't think they ever go up far enough. They always show them going back down at an arc.
Not necessarily true, especially if you film them with a high-powered zoom lens. Because with those, you can see them reach a point where there's no pressure gradient anymore. There's relatively no pressure. Have you ever seen a rocket launch and you see if the smoke and fire from the rocket gets lit by the sun and you're filming at night, you can see the gases start to expand wider and wider out of the rocket until suddenly they're almost not there anymore, until they're so thin that there's relatively no air pressure in the air. What you have there is visual evidence of the vacuum of space.
Okay, I'll see if I can recreate that experiment.
How would you do that?
I will see if I can make it to a rocket launch sometime soon. I live in LA after all, I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. You haven't seen the rocket launches yourselves. That's fine. They've been filmed hundreds of times.
Yeah, not live. I haven't been there live to follow with the high-powered zoom lens, but I've seen a bunch of rocket-powered rocket launches on YouTube. And like I said before, as soon as they're supposed to reach space, it switches into CGI. So that was a clear red flag for me. If it wasn't for you, that's your thing. But to me, it's a red flag, at least.
Okay, I understand the issue with NASA suddenly switching to a simulation because, the view from on the ground has gotten incredibly boring. That's I'm trying to keep it interesting. But what I'm talking about are amateurs filming the rocket launches from the ground.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of amateur, time lapse of the arc of the rockets falling. I haven't seen the ones you're speaking of, but I'll check them out.
How about Red's Rhetoric? You've never heard of him?
I've heard of him. Honestly, I don't think I've seen his videos. Sorry? I've heard of him on your channels and other YouTubers. I don't think I've ever seen his videos though.
Okay. All right. Well, there's lots out there. He's got a really great one that's just recently surpassed 1 million views. What was that? Was that the Falcon Heavy?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was the Falcon Heavy and the boosters returning back to the ground. It's absolutely amazing footage. He, in one continuous shot, keeps the boosters in frame from launch back to landing.
I'll check it out.
Recommend that.
I'll check it out.
Huh. So rockets has nothing. Well, how about the pressure gradient itself? How do you explain? You accept that there is a pressure gradient, right?
I accept that there is some kind of different types of gases in the atmosphere, and we know some gases are heavier than other gases. So some kind of pressure gradient up to some point would be totally acceptable.
But you can see a gradient without the composition of the gases necessarily changing.
Oh, okay. I'm not an expert in gradients, so no. I guess I just accept that there is some kind of gradient. I don't know how far it goes. I don't know. In my model, it would eventually hit a physical electromagnetic dome created with plasma and magnetism.
Okay. So basically, you don't understand the pressure gradient, so it works for you. Yeah, that's.
It's not that I don't understand it. It's I have a different version of what you understand as space. We have different things that we base our beliefs on.
You don't have a belief in space because you're.
Well, you don't know.
Pardon?
You're saying I don't have belief in space because what?
Well, if the gradient doesn't end at vacuum, then you don't believe in space.
I don't know what's beyond the physical, visually proven confinement dome, but after that, I wouldn't be able to argue.
Hold on a second. Yeah. Citation right away. You just said visually proven dome. Not on my watch, buddy.
Yeah, where has it been visually proven?
Yeah, Primer Fields, a small example.
I have to pop in again. Sorry, Kevin. There's plenty of information we have just found on the internet, and this Primer Fields has been debunked so many times it's not funny. Sorry, keep going.
I figured it had. I'm definitely going to be looking into it more after this, for intellectual honesty's sake, just to make sure I can debunk it myself. But Yeah. I'm lost on that. I don't know what to say to that because you say it's visually proven, but if it were visually proven, you could be able to, for instance, pull up a screenshot and share that.
You could see the screenshot within. I mean, you could see the shot of the video where it shows the dome and it shows a plasma spiral going directly through the center of that dome between both magnetic shapes.
Victor, would you like to bring up a link and put it in the Google Meets chat so we could bring it up, please?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I believe I have a photo of it. Like I took a screenshot of it. It's in my old phone, my SD card. I would have to find that. I would be more than glad to send it to Kennedy if he gives me, some time. I don't know. I can't do it right now, but by tonight I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Okay. That's I'll accept that because that gives me some material for videos, to be honest.
Perfect.
And I think beyond that we'll kind of have to we'll kind of have to move on from primer fields. To be honest, I think we've probably had about an hour, right?
Yes, we have. We're probably just a few minutes over at this point.
Okay. Well, I wanted to keep it relatively short, and I'll say now's a good time to wind down and maybe see if we can go for some questions from the chat. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Well, I think that's good. Victor, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
if people in the chat, if they want to at either World Model Feud or myself, so we can get a little highlight on them, let me know what you guys want to say, what you guys think. Dick, you got anything you can fill 30 seconds with?
You say Dick or Vic?
Dick. Dawson.
Well, yeah, actually, I can myself right now. We have gone back and forth here. We had some things that came up that were not quite cited properly. We have had a good discussion here back and forth. There's been a little empty, but in the most part, I think this has been really good. And I'm really hoping that the chat can bring us something good to close out with, because there has been a lot of comments and questions as we were going, but during a debate is not the right time for that. But now that we have our round table at the end, I think it's a great time for audience participation. So please bring them forward, people, because we're really looking forward to this.
Absolutely. How many do we have now? 86 watching. Wow, that's awesome. I'm not seeing any ads yet.
Well, I know if I go back up, there was a couple of really good points here. So let me just go back. Sorry to hum and haw in your ears, everybody. I don't usually do that, but
we're trying to fill dead air here, folks.
Okay, here we go from Peter Harrington. His explanation does not explain the retrograde of Mars. Ask him about that.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. What do you think about the retrograde motion of Mars?
Is Mars the only planet that retrogrades?
I don't believe so.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that wasn't the question.
How does it explain the retrograde of Mars?
How do you?
Now we're on track.
Yeah, I touched lightly on it within my word salad. You have to probably pick the rate a little bit. I mentioned how if you go back to history and the times when people believed in geocentrism, you find a lot of detailed planet charts. And when you take a planet chart from say the 1400s and you see the patterns that the planets make, it follows perfectly within the spirograph in magnetism. So again, magnetism to me explains the movement of the heavens, of the stars, of the lights up above us.
And Kevin, would you like a turn on that question?
I mean, it was a question for him. I almost want to, just
okay.
let the news hang there.
I could give Kevin's
fine.
answer. Kevin's answer would be it's because of the tilt of the Earth, and the tilt of the Earth and the orbit of the Earth with the what's it called, the precession. That would give us the apparent retrograde of Mars. That would be, or that should be his explanation.
No,
if I'm not mistaken.
No, retrograde Mars is caused by our place in the sun's orbit and our speed relative to us and the sun. Basically, at one point, we align with Mars's rotation to a point where it appears to move backwards in the sky.
Right, but it doesn't. According to you, it doesn't.
According to me, no. It moves backward relative to us. But
that's another key point that I wanted to touch on. It's I got into a long, one of the many long chats I got with your chatters, and one of them was a huge thing that's important within Einstein's theory, which is a reference frame. So my reference frame is always and will always be Earth because I haven't been anywhere else. So he tells me, you can imagine though, you could do tests, you could do all these things. Yeah, that's all nice, but you can't visually verify it. So as long as I'm visually verifying things from my reference point on Earth, which I know I can test it, you can test it, everybody on Earth can test the same reference point from Earth. So that's one of my key arguments is we all see the sun move, but for some reason it's not moving. We're moving around it, and it's moving around a galaxy, and all these other things that I don't. When you go back and you check where they came from, history tells you where they came from. I'm telling you, it's as simple as reference, Earth, what's moving, what's not moving.
Okay, we have another question from Bob the Science Guy. Will Cavendish work in a Faraday cage to isolate it from magnetism?
That's a big question.
Also, did you say that was from Bob the Science Guy?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much for tuning in, Bob. Good to see you.
I've heard of Bob before. I don't think I've seen his videos though.
Oh, he's a pretty good creator. I recommend his content, Victor.
I want to check it out. For some reason, I was drawn to Kennedy. I don't know why.
Because he's a really good guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
So, yeah, let's talk about Cavendish and the Faraday cage. I think that's an excellent question.
Well,
You know what, Kevin? Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It was more.
I was going to say, I'm not. I went over Cavendish and I went over Michael Moore and I went over all these other experiments. Honestly, I can't remember specifically, but if you guys would like to, refresh my memory, that'd be awesome.
Well, the best refresh would be BM Furball's website that I highly recommend, as he's doing Cavendish right now.
He's
right?
still doing it, right?
That is correct. He's gathering some amazing data right now. It is fantastic. But, Kevin, would you like to continue that?
I'm sorry. What am I explaining about Cavendish exactly?
Well, basically what it's trying to do.
Well, it's trying to prove the premise that mass attracts mass. It's trying to put two relatively massive objects close enough together and measure a very, very, very faint attraction between them by setting up the conditions so that nothing else should affect it. Have I explained that?
I will take that as 100% answer. Excellent. And let's see here. We had another one. The chat's moving pretty quick, so I'm getting this screwed up. Sorry, everybody. It's just taking me a second.
I'm copying the ones that are added to me. So.
Oh, okay.
Hey, can I say something?
Crashes RC builds and reviews would like to know, how can you measure the back electromagnetic field of the giant electromagnet?
I don't think I understood this question.
I am not sure how to reiterate that because
I don't know.
Because it gets. How would you measure the electromagnetic field of that? How do you say that again? Crash, can you help me out here, brother?
Measuring magnetic fields.
Pardon?
I said, isn't there tools for measuring magnetic fields, if I'm not mistaken?
Well,
what would be a compass? A compass would be a basic tool, right? It tells you where the magnetic field is more strongly towards, and it just so happens it points to the north.
Wow, you're the first flat earther I ever heard talk about magnetic fields instead of pointing to the North Pole. Well done, Victor.
Let's go to the North Pole, all of us.
I don't want to fall in the hole. Ha! Just kidding.
I don't think there's a hole, bro.
Okay, and Cruising with Jay would like to ask Vic, why, with all of the information available on the largest database of information known to mankind, why toss all of that info out, calling it lies and claim flat Earth?
Why would I go against heliocentrism? Would be boiled down to? Would be because
I'll take that. Correct, Victor. I'll take that. Go ahead.
Right. It would be because I studied where the ideas for heliocentrism came from. Copernicus, the basics, right? The basics, Copernicus, Aristotle, all these, famous ancient names that we hear about. And this topic about flat Earth isn't new. I mean, you could go as far back as Plato and Aristotle. You know that Plato also means bowl. If you guys didn't know in Spanish, from plato, that's a bowl. So Plato was a flat earther who believed in, a flat Earth, geocentrism. and Aristotle was his most famous student supposedly, and he was, he influenced a lot into heliocentrism.
Victor,
right?
I'm gonna call a little disingenuous on calling Plato a flat earther when in those times most people were. I mean, other than Aristarchus and a few people were pretty much stuck there. But sorry, continue.
It's funny when you analyze words. Aristarchus, it has a word arc in it, with plasma arcs, and I'm saying there's a literal huge arc over the Earth. So when you study a little bit of the famous,
we're getting into word pareidolia.
Yes, I love
exactly.
it. Don't you like it?
No. Now let's go to the next question. I don't like it at all.
All right.
Let's go to the next question. Unpaid Shills would like to know, why doesn't this huge magnetic field blow out our electrical grid and communications?
It does. It happens as a cycle.
I'd like a citation for that, please.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's observable in the primer fields. You see when and it's not just primer fields. That's part of it.
Sorry, but we've already established primer fields are not peer reviewed. I will not take that as a citation. Please try again.
My apologies.
Go ahead.
Right, I was gonna say, you guys ever heard of the pole shift? You know what the pole shift is? The pole shift of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Okay, stop asking questions and just answer one.
Okay,
yes,
well, the pole shift,
very much.
That is when the magnetic field reverses itself. How? Well, same way it would do it on a globe. It does it on the bow shape. It reverses magnetic fields. North becomes south. South becomes north. And everybody knows that there's catastrophe up on Earth when that happens. If you guys don't know about that, I suggest you look up, what happens when the pole shift happens. And it appears so that even mainstream science, that I'm guessing you guys believe in, says that this pole shift will happen super soon, way sooner than they expected. So pole shift would be my answer.
Come on, Victor. Citation. Where does this mainstream science tell me this pole shift is coming? Come on.
Look, Google it real quick, bro. You find it within 2 minutes.
No. I'm not doing your research, Victor. Bring the citation to the table, please.
There's been a lot of let's do his homework for him.
No,
I'm not taking it anymore. Victor, it's my turn, please. Stop. I'm the moderator, and when I speak, everyone shuts their mouth. Now, I'm not going to take that citation because it doesn't exist. I'm not doing your Google for you. If you want to use that as a point, you're going to have to back it up, please.
Yeah, I back it up with the most giant, somebody said it's the biggest search engine with all the information on the Earth. You'll find it right there within a matter of seconds. I already looked for it. It's not my idea. This is mainstream science.
No citation. Understood.
Yeah, okay, so we got another question from Bob the Science Guy. How does a gyro compass work, Victor?
I haven't studied a gyro compass, but I'll look into it.
Okay,
fair answer. I'll give you that. Just scrolling down here. Kevin, do you want to add something at this point while I look for a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I haven't been writing down the names of who's asking the questions, but somebody asked, he said that bouncing signals off the ionosphere can be explained by bouncing off a dome, but ionosphere bouncing can only be done at certain times of the day.
That's fine, I guess. I'm not a pro in it. I'm just saying it can be done.
All right. Let's see. Someone said he thinks magnetism holds atoms together, but doesn't understand that magnets are caused by the electron spin. That's a very good point. If we got really deep into, if we got into smaller particles,
like light
or light, we'd really find the answer to a lot of this.
Or we get stuck, bro. We already got stuck.
Someone else said David Lapointe made the primer fields video. He has a patent on a perpetual motion machine that he claims is good for what ails you.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Okay, so Pete Berube, explain how there is no South Pole if there is a North Pole on the Earth.
There's no South Pole on the there's no magnetic South Pole. There's a symbolic South Pole. There's all these other types of South Poles, but the actual South Pole of the globe Earth, when I looked it up, it moves a lot, so you can never actually tell where it's at, according to what I looked up. So according to what I looked up, the South Pole in my model of Earth would be all around, everywhere out towards the disk. That's south. Why? Because the north is the center. That shows a magnet shows you. Look up again, magnets under a ferrocell, and you will see that the north has
well, I guess would you call a centrifugal point, and the outside of the magnet has it's different forces, bro. That's north polarity and south polarity. Magnets explain it all.
Look, that's a funny looking magnet, Victor. Okay, so Mandelbrot Set wants to know how does a radar gun work if there is no speed of light?
I'm not familiar with the radar lights, but you know.
Well, radar works by beaming light off of an object, Victor, and having it come back and timing how long it takes. Therefore, you can gauge distance. So, how does a radar gun work if there is no speed of light?
I'm going to go the ignorance route and say I don't know how. I haven't studied radar guns. I'll try to study radar guns.
I'm going to be honest. I like how often he's admitting ignorance, because it's not only intellectually honest, but it also shows how fragile his position is.
Thank you.
Okay, so cruising with Jay. I know about bouncing off the ionosphere. With a regular 4-watt CB radio, I was able to skip a transmission from New Mexico to somewhere in New York, and that ability only lasted for 20 seconds.
What do you want to say to that?
That's very cool.
Well, it's really putting a hole in that dome, Victor.
I don't see how.
Victor, we're getting a lot of background static from you.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better, actually.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, we have another question from Unpaid Shills. How can people in South America, Australia, and South Africa be looking in 3 different directions yet still see the exact same features in the sky, I am presuming?
That would have to do with distance, I think. What features are you talking about specifically? Do you have specifics?
Constellations.
Well, that was the end of the question there. So I do believe what's being asked is if they look straight up into the sky from South America, Australia, and South Africa, they're looking in 3 different directions, yet they're still seeing the same features.
Yeah, that if we're all inside a giant room and we're looking up at the ceiling, we're all going to be able to see the same thing. I don't know if that answers the question.
Not really, because I mean, if the room.
Well, we'll look and see if they agree. AT2 did just correct me. Radar isn't technically light, but an EM pulse. Thank you, AT2. You are correct.
Thank you.
That is correct.
Yeah. Does Victor know that magnetic fields of that type are measurable? And if so, does he know the intensity required for what he is claiming? And this is from Jared at AT2 Productions.
Do I know the intensity of the magnetic field? Can you repeat the question?
Let me read it. Sorry, Victor. Let me read it one more time for you. Does Victor know that magnetic fields of that type are measurable? And if you do know that, do you know the intensity required for what you are claiming?
What intensity is he speaking of? I still don't understand the question.
The intensity of the magnetic field to be able to fulfill your version of gravity, I do believe is what he's getting at.
I don't think I have an answer for that question, bro.
Okay, that's no problem.
All right.
Let's see. Yeah, I was correct. Unpaid Shills was talking about sky features, so we were right there. No problem. Good. Peter Berube, going back to the magnetics, because if the South Pole is a ring around the circular Earth, and therefore the southern pole of this magnet is also around the Earth, basically we're talking about a monopole magnet. And he, as far as he knows, there is no such thing as a monopole magnet. So would you care to explain that point?
I think you just have to study the forces of magnets, and you'll see how at the center there's a special type of force, and at the edge there's a different type of force, north and south polarity.
And you consider that your answer then?
That's my answer, bro.
Okay. Just making sure. Wasn't sure if you were done or just having a break there or a breath or whatever. Okay.
No.
So Cruising with Jay asks, that the cruising with Jay is continuing on the CB radio balancing off the ionosphere comment. So it goes, the communication method is called skipping, like skipping a stone across a pond. You have to time it at a certain time per day when you can key the mic. Right. So that, again, he's showing that the ionosphere, when you were making your other point before, is not there constantly bouncing things back because it's not always there to do the job because of the fluctuations. Any point to bring to that, Victor?
Not really. I'm not an expert with radio bouncing.
Ozman Cometh, the producer of the Shills, no less, has a question. If magnetism explains the Earth in your model, please explain, without stating primer fields, exactly what form of magnetism explains it.
Bowl magnetism. A bowl-shaped magnet, just like you have a bar-shaped magnet, just like you have a horseshoe-shaped magnet, just like you have a ring magnet. You have all these different types of magnets. So if you get a bowl magnet, you see the type of field it creates around matter. So a bowl magnet would explain my Earth.
Okay, Bob the Science Guy is up again. Gotta love Bob the Science Guy. You are an absolute legend in the community. I love you, man. How did the One More Orbit flight instantly go from the ice wall south of Madagascar, 1/4 away around the world, to emerge from the ice wall just south of Chile?
To that flight. What was it called again?
That's the One More Orbit flight. They were just on about a week or two ago on YouTube showing how they did the full orbit. It was fantastic stuff, Victor. Even if you're not into it, check it out. It's really good.
Check it out, bro. One Orbit.
Can I say, is this a flight that did a full orbit?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Did you miss that, Kevin? How in hell did you miss that?
Right? I don't know.
Wow.
I've got to look into that myself. Wow. Okay.
Okay, and we have one from Factard. This is an easy question. Is water magnetic?
Water, it depends. Water is a special thing because there's a distilled water, and distilled water is actually an insulator from electricity. So water, depending on what you add to it, it could do a whole lot of different things. But
okay.
I would say...
Now,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I think we can elaborate on his question and pose it more in the line of, how would your magnetic model explain the tides? I do think is what he's leading you to. Sorry, Victor, we lost you there. Can you try again, please?
I said I'll check out how my bull magnet explains tides.
We can.
Kevin, are you hearing anything?
My bad. I'm saying I'll look at the tides. I'll check out the tides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the Fox Among Wolves to Dead Kennedy in Space. The primer video claims that Saturn's shape is due to these bowls, but for the model to be correct, there needs to be 2 giant invisible magnets around Saturn. Where are they?
You could have it's not invisible magnets, it's magnetic fields. So magnetic fields, you can have a magnetic field within a magnetic field. That's how he you guys told me not to speak about the primer fields, but he brought him up. He did an experiment with magnets inside the huge magnetic force of the Earth. So Earth has natural magnetic force, and we all have smaller magnets within it. So there could be magnets within magnets. That's I don't see how that's trouble for my model or anything, or explaining Saturn for that matter.
Well, there's other issues with Saturn, but
there's a lot of issues with Saturn. Saturn is a special thing, bro.
Any idea
Okay.
why?
Why Saturn is a special thing?
Yeah, well, because basically all the stars are lights in the sky, right? Why?
Yeah.
Why is that one special?
I don't know. It's very special. I've always been fascinated by Saturn. I definitely, after I thought I had space figured out when I was back stuck in with you, not stuck, but when I shared you guys' ideas about space, I was fascinated by Saturn. The shape, the hexagonal shape in the North Pole, all those things I was fascinated by. Again, all of them explained within ball magnetism, and now I'm trying to, I guess, rediscover space within a new way. I don't know. If that sounds stupid and cheesy and crazy, I apologize, but that's what I'm trying to do.
No,
Hey, you shouldn't have to apologize for your answers, Victor. Just hand them out. All good here.
Before we go too far, I want to read out one three questions in a row here from Bob the Science Guy. You don't have to answer any of them; they're rhetorical. What is your name? What is your quest? What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? That just cracked me up.
Oh, you gotta love Bob.
I'm guessing
He's
Monty
just the
Python. I
best.
don't know, bro. It sounds like Monty
Yeah.
Python.
That
It
was
is.
Monty
It
Python,
is. Good call, Victor. You
There
got
you
it.
go.
2 points. All right. Now,
Hey,
crashes RC
adding to
Bill.
Monty Python. Can I add something to
Right.
Monty Python?
Yeah, go ahead.
If it looks like a Doug, if it quacks like a Doug, it's a Doug, bro.
A witch. Okay, let's get back to a question. That was good. Crashes RC budget builds and reviews. Ball magnets, really? Please explain how a DC electric with permanent magnets works, because my can magnets are shaped similar to what he is claiming, yet do not produce a field near what he claims.
You would need a vacuum for that. Well, actually, it depends. If you want to see the actual, if you want to see visual proof of the domes and all that stuff, you need matter inside a vacuum. If you just want to see the force of the magnetic fields, get 2 bolt magnets, with south polarity and one with the north polarity. Even non-magnetized balls, just regular steel balls, you put it together, it moves the ball on its own. So it definitely has special forces. It has special magnetic forces. These bolt magnets, and that's I guess that would be my answer.
Okay, I have one more from Bob the Science Guy. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. That's for you, Bob. Sorry, guys, but he said it. I had to.
Can I add something else? There's domes everywhere. CERN, the Apotheosis in Rome, the building in Washington. All these domes everywhere. So my theory, actually, if you want me to go really crazy, there's domes all on our body. The nipples are domes. There's a lot of dome-shaped parts on our body. So me saying that the Earth is a dome shape with bowls and all these things isn't too far from what we can see everywhere. Especially when you take into consideration the spirograph forces of magnetism.
Okay, I will. Kevin, can I take that, please?
Go.
The whole thing where we build domes and whatnot, it's like architectural and structural because of the way it spreads the stress of the building out and around down to the bottom, and as such, you can have bigger structure with less material.
Right, so it works. So domes are made because they work.
Yeah, his point there is often the globe side goes to everything points to spheres. He's saying everything points to domes instead.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay, I missed that entirely, but you don't blame me, do you, Kevin? Okay, so cruising with Jay. Don't forget the Voyager flight from Burt Rutan, fully circumnavigated flight nonstop of Earth. Right. So if they circumnavigated the Earth, Victor, how did they get through the dome?
Who circumnavigated the Earth?
I'll have to get him to redo it because it doesn't actually. It's the Voyager flight from Burt Rutan, Rutan. If you want, I'll talk to Kevin for a second. Give you a minute on Google. Why not, right, Kevin?
What are we Googling?
He's looking up the Voyager flight that circumnavigated. I'm pretty sure he'll find it here. AT2 Productions has something for Dead Kennedy. Magnets within magnets. Can he practically demonstrate that being possible without the larger magnet taking over as the dominant influence? Ooh, Jared, that's a good one, buddy. But I just sent him off on a Google hunt, so I read that at the wrong damn time. I'm sorry, pal. I'll get that right in for you in a minute.
No, I'm still. You guys want me to look up the Voyager video?
Well, I was thinking maybe I shouldn't have said that because it took a bit of time. Do you want to go back to magnets instead, Victor?
We could go back to the Earth.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the magnets because that does purport exactly to your model of the Earth, right?
Right.
So
you guys are talking about magnets within magnets again?
Yeah, magnets within magnets. Can you practically demonstrate that being possible without the larger magnet taking over as the dominant influence?
I guess it would depend on a whole different, set of circumstances. Devil's in the details, bro. Always.
All right.
Okay, so
I'm saying it's a vague
Cruising with Jay has clarified the comment. The circumnavigation by the Voyager was a long time ago. The plane was designed by a man named Burt Rutan, Rutan. That's how you'll find it.
How long ago?
Well, he's saying a really long time ago, but it has to be within the age of flight. So I'm gonna guess between 1925 and now.
Holy crap! Yeah, I'll look into that, bro.
I'm looking it up here. He was born in 43, so I can at least here we go. Voyager, Rutan Voyager. It was 1984.
84.
Yeah.
All right, so not 30 something, but I'll look it up.
All right. How are we for questions? Are there a lot more? I've skipped over a few and I've missed a few. I'm sorry. There's a lot more than I expected. Thank you, by the way.
Too.
I appreciate the interaction.
Yeah, you have a great fan base and some really good viewers, Kevin. This is excellent. Bob the Science Guy, if you put instant coffee in a microwave oven and turn it on, do you go back in time? Bob, you're going to kill me, buddy.
This is great.
Is he related to Neil, the Science Guy, or no?
I'm not actually sure, man.
Oh, nice.
AT2 Production is a little disappointed that you couldn't do the double magnet question. And it's a vague question. Yeah, he wasn't impressed with that. But, everybody knows, like...
I answered it already.
You're lucky Jared's not moderating. You're lucky it's me. I can tell you that.
That's good.
Can you imagine if Fight was moderating this?
Oh, for God's sakes. Poor Fight would have no head left.
You really wouldn't. I have a high bullshit tolerance. I say that in the nicest way possible. I like to indulge people in what they think about the world, and kind of just let it hang there, because sometimes that does a lot of the work.
Yeah. Oh, Victor, you have an invitation from Crash's RC Budget Builds and Reviews. Now, don't get the name wrong. He does a lot of flat Earth discussion and open debate on his channel, and he has opened an invitation for you to come on and debate and discuss if you'd like. If that's something you're interested in, I can set it up for you after the show, Victor.
Yeah, send me the link.
Yeah, I will, and I do recommend it. He has a great panel and a great show. It's really worth your time. And there was the one from Bob the Science Guy here. Where can I find that again? Where did I miss that here? Oh, yeah, he says, well, I'm a doctor. I've killed many. That was good.
God. That's a dark way to view your job.
Question. Sorry, I don't mean to be screwing around.
Ooh. That's an interesting question from Jim R. On a flat Earth, how can you explain the sun tracking under your feet if you use a go-to telescope?
What's a go-to telescope?
I believe it's a brand, right?
What does it do?
It tracks the sun.
How?
So the endless questions again. So you don't know either, because
no. I think I have an idea, because I've had a question like that before, of how does a stationary what do you call it, a telescope follow, or keep track of the stars, or a certain object in the sky.
So your argument is probably it's pre-programmed to.
Well, it has an engine in it that moves the telescope, doesn't it? Or am I mistaken? Isn't there like a small motor working behind it?
I believe so.
Yeah, I could take that. I have an equatorial mount telescope with a little
That's
motor
exactly
on
what I
it.
was talking about.
And,
yeah.
Right, but without the equatorial mount, which is designed for the curvature of the Earth, a normal tripod cannot track jack shit. You must use an equatorial mount.
I'm not saying there's no curve. I'm just saying the curves in the sky. It's a dome. Domes have curves, so and I'm saying the lights. Most of the lights I see in the sky move. Starting with the sun and the moon, they have cycles. They all move. So if you know at what rate they're moving on the sky, you could make a little motor that follows whatever light you want to follow, whether it be the sun or a star.
That's pretty good redirection. I'll give you that. And the conspiracy says, can you ask him why he thinks that the Freemasons are involved in everything?
I don't think that that's. I guess you say that's fact. I mean, they're inside NASA, so there's Freemasons in NASA. Key astronauts, not just random people.
Yeah, they're involved in elements that are central to this conspiracy.
What conspiracy?
The one regarding the shape of the Earth, whatever you want to call it.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, so Unpaid Shills has a 3-part question that is all very relevant, so the parts matter. How high is the dome? How far away the sun and moon? And how do we explain the transits of Mercury and Venus?
So again, it's retrograde questions and questions of distances. So when it comes to distances of how tall they are, where they are, how big they are, all those things, I'm going to say I've been a flat earther for 5-7 months. So I haven't gone that far yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I do.
Okay. Skydog59 asks if rivers can flow north on the globe.
Are you asking me that question?
Yes, that's to you, Victor.
I'm guessing rivers just flow with the direction of, the level. I don't know.
Well,
Kevin, would you like to take anything on that?
Yeah.
Do they flow downstream or not?
What they were going for there is conflation of north with up, right?
I don't know.
I was asking Dick more.
Yeah.
Basically,
you got it, Kevin. Keep going, buddy.
Basically, yeah, rivers can flow in any cardinal direction because down is toward the center of mass, and that's where they head. Do I have that right?
I'm saying they flow downhill.
Kind of good to me.
What was that, Victor?
I said I'm just saying they flow downhill, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so it sounds like we're in rough agreement.
Yeah.
Okay. A Marvel girl has a good question. Women go to space, but they can't be Masons. How does that work?
That's a good point.
I don't know.
All right.
That was pretty quick, but okay. Yeah. What are you going to do? Let's see here.
Oh, we have a flat earth question.
Oh, good. Kevin, take it.
That always takes priority. Can you tell me why you based beliefs on pseudoscientific theories with math equations? You've thrown the word pseudoscientific out there without quantifying that. There's nothing to suggest they are pseudoscientific. And why do we use math? Because math is a representation of reality. That's why.
Right, but before the math comes the reality, the observation, right?
Yes.
Right, so I'm basing myself primarily on the observation first. Once I have the observation down, I'll start doing the math and I'll get you the distances. Right now, I'm still trying to learn observations. I'm still trying to track observations. I'm still trying to, follow the observations that I see in the sky.
Okay.
Okay, and we have Bob, the science guy. What is the shape of the dome so that it accounts for both celestial poles?
Both celestial poles.
Yes.
Well, you see right there, you're assuming that I agree that there's, celestial poles as you understand them. I already told you how a pole works on a magnet.
Sorry, Victor, we're not assuming you agree. He's just asking you to explain it for the globe Earth model.
And a celestial pole, when he says that, he's talking about Polaris and Sigma Octantis. Those two stars exist, and we can see everything roughly rotating around them. How is the dome shaped for that to be a thing?
Well, I know Polaris is over the north. That's where I'm saying the center of the dome is at. It's at the north. So if Polaris is over the north and there's stars orbiting around Polaris, everybody can see that. There's 1 point. So.
Okay, so you're just going to deny Sigma Octantis.
Yeah, I don't see how that goes against the dome sky model.
The fact that there's two poles. There's two centers.
Well, there's Polaris, and then there's the brightest star in the south. That doesn't mean it's a pole. It's just the brightest star in the south. Or am I mistaken about that?
Around which the sky roughly rotates. That's the issue.
I'm not saying the sky doesn't rotate. I'm saying the sky moves.
I don't think he's understanding the question.
No, we're going to move on. Marvel Girl, I'm sorry, would like to know if Victor thinks flat and level are the same thing.
The reason why I say flat Earth is because water is level. So if you could see 70% of water, and you guys know the Flirt line coming up, if 70% of the Earth is water and 70% of it looks flat, therefore the Earth should be flat. It's an observation.
Well, I have a kind of follow-up question regarding is water level. Do you accept that tides exist? Yes.
Yes, I don't know how they work yet, but I know they exist. I know water goes up and water goes down.
Because they exist, we can verify that water is not always level.
Okay. I'm saying look up into the horizon. If you're saying the horizon is higher at night than it is lower in the daytime, or I don't know what you're saying, but I'm basing myself on the level I see on the horizon over a large body of water. That's what I mean when I say leveled water. I'm not talking about the tides. I'm talking about the horizon.
Okay. But yeah, I'm getting corrections here, and you guys are right. Sigma Octantis is not the brightest star in the south. It's the star closest to the magnetic pole.
Oh, so we were both wrong then.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so celestial poles with opposite rotation and both visible from the equator.
I guess it would depend on which part of the dome you're looking at. If you're looking towards north, they're going to be rotating. The other way. Does that make sense or no? Have you
can you
ever been to the
re-say
observatory?
that?
You know how there's a dome over the observatory.
Sorry, you cut
Victor?
out a little bit in the middle.
I'm saying I'm sorry about that. I'm saying if you're on a flat plane and you're looking up north, up into where I'm saying the dome is at, at the north, you would see the stars moving one way. If you're looking down south towards the south pole of the dome, you would see the stars moving another way. It's just that's perspective. One person is looking north, one person is looking south. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the best I can do at the moment.
Okay, and I did forget to mention that question was from Bob the Science Guy.
He's really going.
Now we have one from the Fox Among Wolves. He told me that no one had built a perpetual motion machine because they disappear. But then why David Lapointe risking filing a patent for it? Oh, so this would be on the what was that crap we were talking about, Kevin?
Primer fields?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Crap? Have you seen it?
Well, I've already read that it was debunked, Victor. So it's just my opinion. No, you have yours. I have mine.
Info. Got it.
Yeah, I already read through it while you guys were talking. I am, decent at this stuff. I do have an education.
Yeah, remember I told you to, at least I'm suggesting that you stick to observations first, Leave the math and the reading for later. First observe. If your observations don't match up, then you have a point. But if the observations match up, then figure out the math on why they match up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm saying observations come first.
Well, everybody's got their opinion. Geistview says he spent 2 years in Antarctica from 2017 to 2019. Crossed the SP from McMurdo, sorry, it's a little blurry on my screen, to SP to Tor/Troll and back. How does Victor account for this?
I'm assuming he's talking about the guy who was on the Joe Rogan Experience, and I honestly haven't followed his story. But yeah, I'll check it out. I used to love JRE, so yeah, I'll check it out. I don't mind going back and listening to another. If it's the same guy, listening to another podcast, that'd be awesome.
Okay, Peter Harrington in Australia. Oh, Australians cannot see Polaris, and I would like to have him explain why this happens as if the world was flat. As if the world was flat, we should be able to. I'm sorry, Peter, I screwed that up. Let me read it one more time because he deserves better. Australians cannot see Polaris. Yeah, but still, I have to do him a service, Victor. Please let me continue. Thank you very much. Australians cannot see Polaris, and I would like to have him explain why this happens as if the world was flat. We should be able to.
I have an answer for that. If you're in Australia, you're close to the South Pole. So I'm guessing we both agree that the Earth is, a giant thing, a giant Earth. It's big, huge distances. So if you're in Australia, you're closer to the south. I don't know if I don't want to be a dick, but I'm just gonna say you can only see so far. Light you can only see light so far. So if you're closer to the south, there's no way you're going to see a star that's in the north. That's why you can't see Polaris from the south.
But it doesn't shrink in totality. It disappears over a visible horizon.
I'm not saying it shrinks. I'm just saying you can't see it because of distance.
That's not how distance works.
Okay, and we have to go back to the point about the South Pole there, Antarctica. When I read that question out, Geistview was actually talking about himself, Victor, not somebody else. Geistview was there and did it.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it.
In Antarctica for 2 years.
Yeah, send me his contact info. I'll hit him up, see what he knows about Antarctica. I'd love to go to Antarctica.
Okay. A Marvel Girl says, where is it? Damn it, the chat moves every time I try to read it. Marvel Girl says, he's telling us to make observation, but he denies what we all observe in reality. Okay, that's a comment more than a question, but it's Marvel Girl, so it's getting fucking read out. Okay, that's
what am I denying?
Well, I think everybody kind of already heard it. Here we go. Yeah. Geistview. No, I've crossed it. I've done all the time running supplies and personnel. He has done it himself.
Props.
I'm sorry, Geistview. That did get lost in there, and I did not make that clear. My fault. I am sorry.
Not that
guy. Let's see here. Mendelbrot set. Ask him how we have a 24-hour sunlight in Antarctica.
I've never seen that before.
Oh, there's quite a few photos of it, actually. I'm up in Canada myself there, Victor, and I don't have to go very far north to have perpetual daylight.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not denying perpetual daylight in the north. I'm saying I've never seen perpetual daylight in the south. I've seen videos of supposed 24-hour footage, but at the time where it's supposed, the shadows tell. So at the point where it's supposed to be, full daytime, video gets cut off and it comes back out. So I haven't seen any visual proof of 24-hour daylight in the south. If somebody lives in the south and is willing to present me that proof, just 24 hours of daylight in the south, perfect. I'm not denying in the north.
Geistview, because you were talking about Antarctica, followed on. He said, you can get a job there. They're hiring for the next season.
I'll check it out, bro. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. It would be really cool. Crash's RC budget builds and reviews would like to know. Damn, the chat keeps moving. You guys are going so fast. It's really good. I love it. Don't stop. Don't think it's a complaint. Ask him internal angles of a triangle with sides of 2, 2, and 2.
The what?
The internal angles of a triangle with sides of 2, 2, and 2.
I don't know, bro. That sounds like a trick question. I don't know.
Okay. AT2 Productions would like to point out, this is a comment, not a question, that Victor is denying everything.
I am pro observations, so I am pro the observations I see of the sun move from east to west. I am pro the observation of the moon moving from east to west. So I am pro all the things that I can observe.
You're pro some observation, it would seem.
I'm pro north being at the center. I'm pro Polaris being over the North Pole. I am pro different stars seeing on different parts of the Earth. I am pro what else? I don't know. The retrograde of Mars. I'm pro all those things. I'm not denying any of those things. I'm just offering a different explanation.
Dick?
Yeah.
Unpaid Shills is asking the question that I always ask.
I was going to ask, could we close out with this question?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Absolutely. Kevin, host and boss of the world, please.
The dead Kennedy himself.
Yes. There was a really good one, though, to close on.
That was it. Unpaid Shills. I was going to do that one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes. So, would you like to read it as the host and master of the debate?
Sure. So it was from Unpaid Shells. Hey, Unpaid Shells. What is the ultimate reason, the purpose that anyone would want to hide the shape of the Earth?
That goes into conspiracy theories. So if you guys want to look into conspiracy theories, that's up to you guys.
No.
Well, I mean, I looked into them, but we were wondering what why you have ascribed. There's plenty of whys that have been proposed, but what's yours? I
guess I would have to boil it down to the polar shift that I mentioned earlier. that would be my reason why people don't want us to know the exact shape of the universe and over the Earth and how it works and what's at stake and what happens every cycle of the natural Earth, the natural magnetic poles of Earth. That'd be my answer. It sounds lunatic. That's my answer.
Well, it's original. I'll give you that.
Thanks.
Well, Kevin, I think you picked a masterful moment to wrap up your most excellent show this evening.
Well, thank you very much. This was my first attempt at a live stream, first attempt at a live debate. I think we did relatively okay here. For the future, I don't think it happened this stream, but just so you guys are aware, super chats are enabled. I don't know how all that works. All I know is that if it shows up, I've got to read it, and I've got to say thanks a lot because I really appreciate it. And I do want to thank everybody very much for tuning in. If you have any suggestions, any criticisms, anything you'd like to throw out there to try and make future streams better, please let me know. Contact me on Twitter. Let me know in the comments of my next couple videos. And I want to thank Victor for coming and for keeping this relatively civil.
Thanks for you guys' time.
Excellent, Victor. I want to also throw in thank you very much. I did raise my voice once. I'm sorry about that. It wasn't personal. It was just to make sure we stayed on track. Thank you very much for coming and participating, Victor.
Sorry for cutting you off, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to be a dick.
No problem. Yeah, we're all good, buddy. We're all good.
All right, dick.
All right. Well, again, thanks everyone very much for coming, and I will see you all over the curve, Space Cowboys.